Hello, and welcome back to Talking Shop, a series of fun conversations with consummate concert artists, composers, opera singers, and choreographers. Today we have with us Val Caniparoli. He's an American ballet dancer and international choreographer. His work includes over 100 productions for ballet, opera, and theater for over 50 companies, and he is one of the most sought after American choreographers internationally. And we are so pleased to have him with us today. Welcome, Val.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Um, yeah, I'm so glad to have you here. You and I have known each other for several years now through your choreography and work for our Richmond Ballet, and which is just so wonderful. But the first question I always like to ask my guests is, what does dancing and choreography mean to you personally?
Well, I guess you could include music in that in theater because that's really where I got my start. I
Wonderful.
didn't start dancing and choreography till really late in my career. So I was consumed with music. I was taught clarinet and saxophone like early on, grade school on. I was in the theater departments in the high school, and then I went into Washington State University, and I was going to be a music theater major, and just sort of went to this whole different direction into dance because a company had come into, think it's called First Chamber Dance Company,
Okay.
and they came to Washington State University, was where I went, and they're doing performances, and they gave uh, classes to the theater department. So it was my first exposure to ballet. And I remember the woman saying, "How long have you studied ballet?" I said, "I've never done it ever."
I love it. That's fantastic.
Anyway, fast forward and just I left college and went to San Francisco Ballet and auditioned for the school and got one of the last Ford Foundation scholarships. And within a year, I was in the company. So it's odd, very odd. So it's just I'm consumed with the arts. I've been surrounded by my entire life. I didn't think it would come to this. That was not, I mean, was not exposed to dance when I was younger.
Oh.
So it's just my whole experience, my whole outlook on that is way different than if I studied when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
Mhm.
I've been exposed to it. Even my choreography is affected by it because you do what you know.
Right.
I
Right.
so um, the choreography is from my life experiences through music, through dance, through not through dance, through music, theater, all aspects of it, and just exposure to that. And so I have a whole different outlook. So it means a lot. It's been my life, the arts in general, not just dance and choreography.
Right, right. That's so expansive. I mean, we could spend like 3 days talking about just that,
No,
which
no,
is
I'm
so
not.
wonderful. So
That happened.
we'll just have to continue this at some other time. So let's, I guess, focus a little bit more on the ballet and the choreography, but the opera, especially, that's a love of mine. So that, um, the opera ballet, so to speak, drew my attention right away when I was doing my research on your career. And so your roots in San Francisco Ballet obviously go a lot deeper, just as you said, than choreography. And you became a principal character dancer, which to me, especially from what you just said, fits with who you are so beautifully. And I'm sure that had some type of impact on, the ballets you've made on dancers, your Jekyll and Hyde, and we could get into all kinds of things, but so such a mammoth topic, but in what ways did your dancing career actually inform your choreography? Can you tell us a little bit about that journey from music to theater to dance, and then how the choreography grew out of that?
Right. Well, it's still I'm still questioning how I got into classical ballet because I really had no knowledge of it and was in the San Francisco Ballet School. And the opera season is different from the ballet season. And when I was in the school, because of my background in theater, they used me a lot from the school in the same roles I'm still doing now there. So
Wow.
all the character roles. And so the problem with that, because so going into the opera ballet, which means you have to be a member of the union. So then they have to pay you, start paying you to do the character roles. And it's just sort of morphed into, well, we're using him so much, let's just hire him. So my base, like you mentioned, is really in the acting roles, the character roles. I get a lot, well, when did you retire and become a character dancer? I said, I've never retired, and I've always been a principal character dancer. That's why
Yeah.
I was hired. And then the better I got, I morphed into better, amazing roles that I can't even believe I've done to this day, difficult roles. But the base of my career has been character roles. I'm still doing the same roles, a lot of them.
Yeah. 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 That's fascinating. Um, I think the opera ballet, I've been intrigued by that term, and I know that some ballets now are actually doing performances with singers, and that's a genre I want to explore a little more deeply. I don't know if that's something that's been done traditionally. Obviously, from what I can tell, the opera ballet was an effort to prepare the dancers to dance in the opera productions, right? Is that how the what the
Right.
term at base level really means? But today, I don't, you would be a better judge of this, but it seems to me there is a growing development of bringing singers into ballet productions. And of course, Carmina Burana is a perfect example of that. But is that happening more? Am I just dreaming that? Am I just observing something?
I think traditionally it's been for a fairly long time. I mean, again, my short, because again, the ballet, I entered the ballet world 1971, 72.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where that world opened up. So I'm not totally qualified with really knowing what's before, but the history of, especially in Europe, it's been like that. I don't
Yeah.
think, because I'm a big, huge fan of Maurice Béjart, and he did that a lot. And other choreographers' use of singers on stage, and I've done quite a bit of that. Not quite a bit, but a lot. Um, so I think I don't know if it's more or less, to be honest.
Okay.
And
Okay. Which, could just be something I'm just now becoming familiar with. So I'll admit that.
or I'm not familiar with it. It works both ways on that one.
Okay, well, let's and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the San Francisco. I mean, the San Francisco Ballet obviously has been your ballet life, and is it still housed in the let's see, the War Memorial Opera House? Is that true?
Well, that's where we perform. These studios are across the street on Franklin
Okay.
Street. It was one of
Okay.
the first new buildings from the ground up in the
Wow.
United States, built at the time. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to be way out closer to the ocean on the avenues.
Yeah.
I remember that distinctly. But yeah, it's the performances are at the War Memorial Opera House.
So does that just being in that historic building, does that has that made an imprint on San Francisco Ballet? Has it made an imprint on you personally?
Yeah, I mean the theater itself is one of the best, most amazing theaters in the world. And it's staffed by so like from the stagehands to all the way everybody involved in it. It's been a lot of them have been there for decades.
Wow.
And it's you just walk into the building and you just are in awe. I always love it when beginning of the year, and we probably uh, haven't been in the opera. We've been touring because our first performances are there during Nutcracker because the opera's in there before. And I always love watching the new dancers when they walk on stage and look out in the auditorium. And it's just, I love it. Right there I
Yeah.
go, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're
That
immediately
moment, that moment. Yeah.
in awe and they go, wow, wow. And it's just historically, and again, I've been in that theater for 50 years. So
Grew up there. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it is a special place. And when companies luck out and they can schedule timing in between the opera and the ballet, they just love it there. It's really amazing theater, I
Yeah.
think.
I love old theaters and old opera houses like that. There's just a charm and such a heritage there. It's just a wonderful, wonderful.
The,
Must be lovely to be in contact with that on such regular basis.
It was the first United Nations was held there. That's where the War
Wow.
Memorial. Yeah, take a look at the history of it. It's quite amazing. The
Yeah.
United Nations was held there, I believe,
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
before.
Wow. Gosh, it just goes deeper and deeper, doesn't it? So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift a little bit to your character ballets, or let's talk about your work in general, because my gosh, it's just so diverse and there's so much variety, from Lamborena to, Jekyll and Hyde. Can you talk a little bit about your work with us, and especially maybe what distinguishes the character ballets from works like, your other works, Lamborena, or does it? Is there a distinction in your mind?
I think what in my favor is studying music and knowing how to read music. Um, but my music tastes go all over the map, and that's why I think I'm comfortable with any category of music, and I don't shy away from that. It's yeah, and again, the theater background, I'm interested in that aspect of it. Going back when I first was in the school and in the company, I was just in awe watching because San Francisco Ballet has a history of bringing in some of the most eclectic choreographers from all over the world since I've been there. And just watching it in the door, even if I wasn't cast, which was a lot because I wasn't technically, I would watch them working and watch, and that affected me. Like, wow, then the light bulb went on, and I went, wait, I think I can do this
Hmm.
with all
Hmm.
my background and it be in a different way.
Yeah.
So again, and then went to my roots of knowing theater, directing, lighting, that you study and all of that in the day. But it just, I think that has influenced on what I choreograph and what inspires me at the time, because it's not anything in general. It could be from a newspaper article, like the ballet called The Bridge. It was motivated by a newspaper article about the Romeo and Juliet of Sarajevo. Came from, and so it was based on that. And then or the lottery, which I've been Shirley Jackson's The Lottery,
Uh-huh.
which
Uh-huh.
was amazing, a short story that stuck with me forever. And then the light bulb went on, and wow, let's do a ballet of that. And Jekyll and Hyde. I've always been interested in the old monster films, black and white. It's like, and that was one of them. And
Yeah.
it's just, again, you do what you know, and this is what I'm inspired by. There's so many different aspects, and it's nothing in general. Sometimes it comes from a director saying, "Are you interested in doing?" Royal Winnipeg Ballet. Andre Lewis
Mhm.
called me. Are you interested in doing a new Cinderella for us? I went, well, he said, and I'm not. I don't want you to use Prokofiev. And I'm so into challenges when a director will call me and challenge me. And of course, I ended up getting the rights to use the Richard Rodgers songbook
Yeah. Oh my
and put it
gosh.
into blues and jazz to have it rearranged. And that was successful, and it still is going on. So it's totally, I think at the time, it's like whatever I'm offered, or can you do a lot of times if I'm offered, can you do a new work?
Hmm.
And I say, well, what's in the program? You have to know
Right.
what's in the program if it's been done already.
Uh-huh.
And they'll say, or we have no closer and we don't have anything on point. Can you do? So I'm into a challenge. Sometimes I ask to be challenged. Okay, what do you want?
Right.
But then a lot of times I have ideas and I send them out to companies. And in many ways, now it's the timing of marketing because
Yes.
of many full lengths have to sell.
Yeah.
You have to has to have a marquee name where the artistic director, and I think what a fabulous idea, and the marketing goes, I don't think we can fill the seats. And that
Oh
happens a
gosh.
lot. It's struck down. And
Wow.
because audiences have to come in to pay for those rep shows
Hmm.
that all
Hmm.
the dancers want to do to keep your dancers. You want those rep shows. But the
Absolutely.
full lengths, so it's so many variables. You have to
Yeah.
think about marketing sometimes and box
Yeah.
office. You
Yeah. Yeah. Which is
uh,
which is a shame in a way, but
yeah,
an incentive as well, I guess.
Yeah. And these days, even sometimes the message,
Hmm.
be careful,
Yeah.
but then I'm not so careful. And so if the idea is shot down, I can maybe adjust things,
Hmm.
but I don't mute it. I don't, well, then let's not do that then.
Right. Right.
Um, because I want to be true to what I believe, what I think of. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it, art
And
imitates life, I think. It should not be, um, you know,
absolutely. Is there a case where when something gets shut down that maybe there's just another time, maybe the timing is not right at that point, and then another time later? Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Some ballets now, there's maybe a political period of time where, whoa, or there's socially there's something, and then it comes back.
Right.
It's the mindset of people at the time, and
Hmm.
kind of crazy. It's like,
Well, yeah, and you know, I tend to be an optimist, and I'm thinking, as disappointing as that is the first time, and as a creator, I can't imagine being told, no, you can't do that, but it almost feels like, is it possible that maybe it's an even richer experience at that later time because you've had time to really think about that in light of what went before, and then when it finally is allowed to emerge? Is that true or not?
I think it's true, but it's also true that, and I'm a true believer, ballet just does not, choreography does not get the same timing as, because I work in theater companies too, where you get previews, you get you can take it on the road first, and or film or Broadway.
Right.
You're supposed to be geniuses right away. Throw something on with
Uh-huh.
no time in the theater. Not complaining about that because I'm used to it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough that it's not shot down, that um, then if it's taken again in 3 years and next year, that's the time you work on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even if when you're kind of thinking that if 3 or 4 years down the line, it's not just socially different. You yourself is different in that you got to sit back and go, "Ooh, I didn't see that close up in the studio far
Mm-hmm.
back. I
Mm-hmm.
wish at that point you got to keep
Yeah.
going. You can't
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
time." So sometimes, like Lady of the Camellias that I've done, that was probably 33 years ago. It's still being done. Between then and now, there's probably 45 minutes cut out of it
Wow.
because, um, yeah, it's just people's minds we're used to TV or quick flashes of things, and audiences don't have the same patience.
Yeah.
And so editing at 10 minutes here, at 20
Mm-hmm.
minutes,
Mm-hmm.
shorten it and makes it more impactful.
Mm-hmm.
You
Which is
may
what,
not be changing the social meaning or this,
right.
but and you realize, well, I don't need to say that so many times,
Yeah.
whereas before was okay,
Yeah.
had the patience and the time.
Yeah.
So that as well. I mean, Jekyll and Hyde is already since the opening because it was during the pandemic, and that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Even to get it on stage, no other uh, full length new work was being done in the world at the time.
Wow.
All the stuff connected with that, just to be able to get
Yeah.
it on and be successful.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then you sit back because a lot of it was done via Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's been done by four other companies. It's been enhanced, not even in time, it's been cut down, but character development.
Yeah.
It's been amazing having that opportunity. So if you're lucky enough to have that opportunity, it's not just the social issues, it's a lot of issues
Right.
musically and timing and character wise, and a lot of things, spacing, and it's and I've been lucky many times of that to be able
Yeah.
to do
Yeah. That's it's so fascinating. So it's just interesting to me, though, that you say, for instance, citing um, the ballet that had 45 minutes cut out of it, and yet audiences still flock to Giselle, Cinderella, Romeo and Juliet, all these full length story ballets. So I just wonder, is it because those stories are more well known, or, I guess, the need to cut the length of these. It seems rather kind of a dichotomy that we have to cut the length. We can't do a full, a full length ballet that's as long as maybe the traditional classic story ballets are. So what is the draw to that when people have to sit there for what, 2.5 hours? And yet, you can't create something like that today. It's a little
Those
frustrating.
most choreographers and most directors, when they bring in a Swan Lake, you'll notice that they have been edited
Okay.
longer 4 acts. It's three, sometimes two.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is dabbling. There is, Sleeping Beauty. You name it. It they are constantly edited, for sure. So because of that in mind, it just people don't have that attention spans for 4 acts
Yeah.
and even 3 acts. I question in a young choreographer now when they do a new full length that they do 3 acts. I go, it's best if you can figure out 2 acts.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is, and that's what a lot of companies. I'm working. I can't mention which company on
Sure.
a commission on a 4 horse full length that is generally done in 3 acts, and I'm cutting it to 2 acts. I'm doing that as we speak. That's why I got up at 6 in the morning working on it. But yeah, so it's also with the big full lengths, but the draw also to me is the spectacle, the costumes, the
Absolutely.
fantasy, and yeah, which I always, well, there's less dancing, so I never understood that, but that's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Well, and it just that's really interesting. And I guess again, going back to your love for being challenged, that is another challenge. How do we give the fullness and the richness of this story in a shorter time length? I mean, that is definitely a challenge in my view.
And just the subject matter, and how can I make this? So why are all the full lengths? It's the damsel in distress. And it's like, and I go, I'm not doing this with this new full length. I'm
Yeah.
rearranging, figuring out, and I think I've got the ideas and the
Yeah.
backing of the company. So
Yeah.
it's, just even looking at the traditional without totally ruining the tone and mood, but there's ways of doing it with, so
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ways of thinking in many ways.
And I feel that that is an artistic talent in and of itself, because that's really hard sometimes, because if you're like me, you're like, no, they have to know this, they have to see this part of the story. It's just
Yeah,
really, really hard to cut that out, or how do I put this in a different way that's going to have the same impact?
it is. That
Yeah,
is, yeah. And sometimes
yeah,
I'm emitting some music where people go, "Oh, I love that music." And you go, well,
yeah,
it's kind of filler. It was beautiful music, but doesn't further
yeah,
the story. And,
yeah.
you're constantly having to.
Well, I know, and Nutcracker, I did all the music for our wedding and 10 years ago, and I walked down the aisle to the pas de deux from the Nutcracker,
It's gorgeous.
and I obviously had to cut it a little bit, but every year when we go to that, we take my children to the Nutcracker every year for as part of their Christmas, and that is such a special moment for us, and if they ever cut that,
Oh, I know.
I
Yeah.
would just, oh, I don't know what I would do. Not going there. Okay, so let's go back to, I'd love to talk a little bit about your experience making ballets on dancers, because to me it's just so fascinating. I hear about choreographers coming in, especially for the New Work series, and it seems that they have an idea for a ballet, but then they'll come in and spend a couple or 3 weeks working with our dancers, and they just, so much of the creativity and the making of that ballet happens on the spot in the moment. Can you talk to us about that? Because that just seems really so wild to me. How much thought do you put in before? I mean, just would you tell us a little bit about your process and how that translates?
My process is a little bit different per ballet, but uh, for full lengths or story ballets, I need to know what point I'm going to initially make. And once I have that, if I don't have that, or if I see choreographers that don't have that, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
So to me, getting the point, the arc, how you start and how you end, is so important. If you know that, you're home free. I don't come in with steps and everything worked out already. I know music, so I have notated changes in music and what I want to hear and what I want the dancers to hear in advance, for the most part. So I go in, especially in new work. I like the dancers to feel free to be collaborators, that they know they can say something.
Hmm.
I just liked as a dancer being with new works, choreographers coming in, demanding it be this way. No, there's no talking. This way you do it. And the ones that gave you freedom and to talk and say something, I thought was great. And I believe if you have let the dancers be part of the process, they take ownership, and therefore it's a better product.
Yeah.
So go in, you've got to be open as well. But then you can go, well, thanks for that opinion. I'll think about it, but no, keep this way, and then maybe I'll change my mind the next day. But they can't be afraid to speak up.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but then they can't be too much. Be
Has to
there for
be just that right
3 years.
balance. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
they can't be afraid, I don't think, of speaking up and being part of it and maybe suggesting, even if it's a look where you look or anything. I'm totally into that. So I go in because I want also if the new company with Richmond Ballet, I know what to expect. But when you're in a new company, you want to kind of sit back and let them, you feel
Yeah.
it out a bit. And then if you're lucky enough to go back again, you know more about that company. But yeah, I know where I'm going with it. And those dancers don't. So sometimes when they ask or say something, I go, well, wait a minute. Let's finish this sentence. Let's finish this phrase first, and then let's talk about it because we got to get somewhere.
Right.
Because they don't know what's your mind or where you're going,
Yeah.
so to
Yeah.
speak. But it's
Yeah.
and again, I bring in like Mikey Munoz is my assistant for many, I mean, for most of the ballets. I've got a lot of maybe 10 others, but she's the one that's I'm with most.
Yeah.
She knows she can speak up and go, oh, didn't you just repeat that or did you do that? But yeah, but I go in before I go into the studio, I'm the choreographer that any collaborators from the costume department, the if it's a dramaturge, any design team, anything, they have been in the process at the beginning. I don't go in and choreograph and go, hey, here's the video, design it. So they are part of the discussion of how it's going to look, where it's going to
Yeah.
go. So it's so many different parts in many ways before you even get in the studio.
Yeah. That's so exciting to me because you're not only allowing, you're actually inviting other artists to create along with you.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
whether it's the dancers, whether it's the, staging people or the lighting people or whatever, and that just has to really make that experience so much richer and how glorious that you get to do that. This is your life.
Oh, I
It's
know.
wonderful
It's
to do
me.
that. Yeah, yeah. So I guess if you make a ballet on one set of dancers at one company, does that ballet then change a bit if you do it at another company?
Oh, absolutely. Like my point before, sometimes I change the name of the ballet. So I went, well, that was stupid, because you're forced to name the ballet for marketing before it's even done, sometimes before you even start. And you go, why did I call it that? Anyway, so, which happened a couple times. But yeah, and then different dancers, Jekyll and Hyde, it's been done like 5 companies so far. And there's parameters of what you can or can't do. But each character, Jekyll and Hyde, we had 2 different dancers to Jekyll and Hyde, but their approach can be different.
Mm,
And even, a phrase or something. But yeah, I'm really open to working with the dancers as long as it doesn't, like I say, that sense, that phrase, that
yeah,
character is enhanced, not brought down. But yeah, that's each sometimes a dancer will go, well, I kind of can I try it like this? And I go, oh my gosh, we're going to keep that for the rest forever.
yeah,
But
right.
I like that better than what I did, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So I'm totally open. My ego isn't that huge where I go, well, no, no, no.
So let's talk a little bit about how you select your music because I can see different things. Like if you're uh, if someone calls you and commissions something from you, just like the Cinderella, you want they said don't use Prokofiev, so then you've got a challenge right there, and I just think it's absolutely brilliant that you chose the Rodgers and Hammerstein. And but if you're doing just a new work, maybe that's not a full ballet or I guess are they all full ballets? Maybe let's talk about that a little bit too. Yeah. So what's the difference in a full ballet and whatever the other thing is, and how do you select music for those new
Well,
ones?
to me, the easiest way is if you hear a piece of music and you're inspired by it, and then you go, oh, the hard part is having an idea and finding the music to support it. Because if that music doesn't work, no matter how good that idea is,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I'll use the case of the lottery, which by concept of it and getting the rights to literary rights, this is another thing that's difficult these days,
Mm-hmm.
is the idea at the end. It's sort of like a modern day Red of Spring in many ways, but it isn't. It's more hometown, mid-America,
Yep.
and it's a shocking story. But whenever every company I ever offered it to, from San Francisco Ballet to everywhere, wow, I want it, I want it, I want it. But 10 years going on, I went, I can't find the right music. And they were
Wow.
so, he's Rite of Spring. No, it's not right.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it. And it was Ballet West, Adam Skloot, that said, well, let's commission a score.
Yeah.
That's really expensive. So if a
Yeah.
company goes, let's invest in a commission score. So that worked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Cinderella was a fluke in, there was the Richard Rodgers Centennial
Uh-huh.
is in New York, and companies were asked to do a gala. And I was asked, would you like to do, and I did a piece to, gosh, what was it called? No, it doesn't matter. But the daughters saw it and raved about it, absolutely raved about it.
Wow.
You have the Southern Cross or something like that. But and that was the same time period where I was asked to do Cinderella. So I went, whoa.
Bing bing. It all lined up.
And that pas de deux is intact in the ballet.
Yeah.
And then going to get the rights, the
Mm-hmm.
Richard
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers. You had to, they didn't at the time, it was new territory, letting their music being done and much less being rearranged. But it
Wow.
was at the same time period as Gwen Stefani doing a couple of things from the Rodgers and Richard Rodgers on video.
Yeah.
So they were used to it. And I came in at the same time and they were like, yes, they're into it. So that, but then again, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not easy to find that music. I use a music advisor,
Okay.
Juana Pansquera a lot, working with her on this current project and many other projects. So I have help in that. So it's not easy to have this great idea and try to find the score to fit to it, the correct score. And
Yes.
and it takes a long time, many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
But picking the music is, I think, probably 95% the success of a ballet.
Wow. That's incredible.
That music doesn't, no matter how good it looks, how good the dancers are,
Mhm.
if you have a point of view, it's like, no,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. So do you do much listening yourself to try to find new music? And of course,
I have
duh,
a
rhetorical
file like
question.
this long of things I want to do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy how much stuff I have. And I go back to sometimes all my notes and my files and I go, oh, or even ideas that I've had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, that didn't work. It wasn't valid maybe 10 years ago, but then now they go, oh my God, what a great idea. So
Yeah.
like you said, people's minds change. It's a whole different, thing.
Yeah. That timing factor is just
Oh,
amazing,
it's
isn't it?
crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. Oh my gosh. I know we could talk about so much more, but I want to give you time to talk about new events, big events coming up for you, whatever you can or feel like talking about new works, what your newest challenges are. What are you into right now?
Well, I'm doing, researching on music on projects going through 2027, 2028, and it's just on totally discussing future stuff, definitely. So, like this new full length, which is it doesn't go on until March of 2027, but it takes now and beyond. I mean, before this to make sure that works. So, and then working with the new work for Richmond Ballet with through Ma, working through that, the music, get the rights, and um, but also uh, promoting all your other. I have so many works that I want to be done. So
Yeah.
pushing that and making sure going on social media. I'm probably a pest because all I do is look at this ballet, look at this photo, but it
Yeah.
works. It
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm constantly working on new ideas, new projects. I can't, a couple of them I can't, like I said, because if
Sure.
it's not out yet. But yeah, working on a lot of new works and trying to get existing works pushed through. Because companies work 3 to 5 years in advance. If you're not on
Yeah.
top of it,
Yeah.
you're out of luck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, redoing a second act of one of my. I have like five Nutcrackers, three of which are still being done. But I'm working on redoing an act two of one of them to because it's something I've wanted to do, changing up the national dances, and have this great idea.
That's
And we're gonna
exciting.
do it for their 75th anniversary next year.
Mm.
So I'm working on that and getting designs to match the original
Yep.
design. So
Yeah.
stuff like that. And like I
Yeah.
said, like we talked about, improving sign of the
Yeah.
times, changing,
Yeah.
making it valid, but you got to have the ideas to work it and the cooperation and the
Right.
funding. So I'm
Right.
always working on funding. There you go. It's like,
Huge factor.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah. So, number one, do you have any leisure time? And if so, what do you do with it?
I don't. Everyone goes, where, you have time off? Where are you going to vacation? I go, why would I get on a plane and go somewhere else? I love my place in San Francisco. I love my condo. I come staycations, and even it's a vacation to me to have the time now to sit and organize this full length, which is important,
Yes.
and all over the place. So I'm like, this is a breather. It's the longest I've been in San Francisco for a while, and I'm loving it. Um, so yeah, and never going to retire. I'm always offended by when people goes, when are you going to retire? And I go, when did they think when I became officially principal character dancer, because we didn't have categorized for
Right.
a time, it was alphabetical. And when Helke came in, he brought it back. And I said, well, when he came in, he gave me that title, principal character dancer. I said, it's the same. I didn't retire. I'm still, full time.
Yeah, and
It's the
I'm
role.
laughing because I can relate to that so much, especially, having the time, for me it's composing, having the time between practicing piano, practicing voice to just really sit and do my work, of composition, which is so precious to me and is fed by all these other things. So I have to keep all of these balls going. And at the same time, this retirement thing, I'm like, I don't even know the meaning of that word. It's such a horrible word.
No,
Do you just want
either.
me to shrivel up and die or something? I'm like, to me, if I'm not working, I'm not here. I'm not living.
No, to me, I agree with you. Why would I retire? It's not in my DNA. I think
Oh.
like I said, I am it's a little bit offended when people say, when did you retire? Or when are you going to retire? I go, well, in my coffin, like, uh,
And are you getting tired of my work? Do you want me to?
why would I, God,
Exactly. No,
I
it's a
mean, it's
baffling question to me as well. And, you know,
good.
it is just, as artists, we keep growing, and to me everyone should do that. Everyone just should keep growing and keep learning and keep creating and
Well,
figuring out, being curious,
it's
what
to
else
keep your
is there
mind
for me to
alive, keep
do?
you young. Why would you just do, if you still have the opportunity and the commissions and the interest, why would you say, no, I'm retired? No, I
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I mean, it is such an honor and a gift to be able to create things like this,
Absolutely.
and just to ever think about not doing that. I mean, it's 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 part of who I am, so it would cease, I would no longer be. And I feel like you're kind of saying the same thing.
Oh, I know. It's like, yeah, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
there.
It has been the biggest delight having you. I just thank you so, so very much for giving us this time out of your busy, busy schedule and letting us get to know you a little bit better. So stay tuned, and we'll have another segment of Talking Shop to be posted soon.